What if I told you that the first 2 minutes of your morning, before you even get out of bed, could actually protect your brain as you get older? Not a pill, not an expensive supplement, just 2 simple minutes. Most people over 70 don't realize this. And honestly, it's one of the most overlooked things in brain health today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 2 minutes doesn't sound like much. And you're right, it doesn't. But here's the thing. Research in neuroscience over the last decade has shown something remarkable. Small, consistent daily habits, especially ones done first thing in the morning, have a far greater impact on brain function than most people expect. It's not about doing something dramatic. It's about doing something intentional, every single day, at the right time. So today, let's talk about what this routine actually looks like, why it works, and what's really happening inside your brain when you do it. I promise, by the end of this, you'll want to try it tomorrow morning. First, let's understand what's actually going on in the brain after 70. This is important, because when you understand the why, the routine starts to make a lot more sense. As we age, the brain naturally goes through some changes. The volume of certain brain regions, particularly the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory, can shrink slightly over time. Blood flow to the brain also tends to decrease, and the connections between brain cells, called synapses, can become a little slower and less efficient. Now, this doesn't mean memory loss or cognitive decline is inevitable. Research suggests that the brain retains something called neuroplasticity well into old age. That means the brain can still form new connections, adapt, and even strengthen existing pathways, but it needs the right signals to do that. And that's exactly where a morning routine comes in. When you wake up, your brain is in a unique state. During sleep, your brain has been doing important work, flushing out waste products, consolidating memories, and resetting itself. The first few minutes after waking are what scientists sometimes call the transitional window. Your brain is moving from a slow wave, deeply restorative state into full wakefulness. How you handle those first minutes matters more than most people realize. Here's something most people your age don't realize. If you immediately reach for your phone, turn on the TV, or jump into the stress of the day, you're actually interrupting a critical brain process. You're flooding a still waking brain with stimulation and stress signals before it's ready. Over time, this can contribute to what researchers call cognitive load fatigue, where your brain feels foggy, scattered, and mentally tired earlier in the day. Instead, those first 2 minutes can be used in a completely different way, a way that gently activates the brain, improves blood flow, reduces stress hormones, and sets a neurological tone for the entire day. Let's break this down simply, step by step. The first part of the routine takes about 60 seconds. Before you sit up or check anything, while you're still lying in bed, you begin with 3 slow, deep breaths. This is not just relaxation. There is real science behind it. Studies have found that slow, controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which lowers cortisol levels. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone, and elevated morning cortisol, something very common in older adults, has been directly linked to accelerated memory decline and poor concentration throughout the day. By taking 3 long, slow breaths, you are literally telling your brain's threat response system to stand down. You are creating a calm neurological environment before the day even begins. But here's the interesting part about those breaths. Research from the University of California found that rhythmic breathing also synchronizes brainwave activity, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, attention, and emotional regulation. A calmer, more synchronized prefrontal cortex in the morning means sharper thinking, better focus, and a more stable mood for hours afterward. 3 breaths, 60 seconds. That's all it takes to start this process. Now, the second part of the routine, which also takes about 60 seconds, involves something called intentional mental recall, and this is where it really matters for brain sharpness specifically. While still lying comfortably, you simply think, gently, without pressure, about 3 things. First, what day it is. Second, one thing you are looking forward to today, even something small. And third, one thing you are grateful for. That's it. No journaling, no writing, just a quiet mental check-in. Now, this might surprise you, But this simple act of recall and positive anticipation has measurable effects on brain health. Research suggests that activating the brain's reward circuitry, which is triggered when we think about something we're looking forward to, releases small amounts of dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the feel-good chemical. It's deeply involved in attention, motivation, and memory formation. Studies have found that people who begin their mornings with a brief moment of positive anticipation show better working memory performance throughout the day compared to those who don't. The gratitude piece is equally important, and the research here is surprisingly robust. A long-term study published in the journal Emotion found that older adults who practiced brief morning gratitude reflection had measurably lower levels of inflammatory markers in their blood, and chronic inflammation is one of the leading contributors to cognitive decline after 70. I know this can feel like a simple or even obvious thing to do, but simple is not the same as ineffective. Sometimes the simplest habits carry the deepest benefits, and here's what makes this 2-minute routine so powerful compared to longer, more complicated brain exercises. It's what researchers call high compliance, low friction. The biggest reason most people don't follow through on healthy habits isn't laziness. It's that the habits ask too much, too soon. 2 minutes, done before you even get out of bed, asks almost nothing of you physically, but it asks something very specific of your brain. And that gentle, focused demand, repeated every morning, is exactly what builds cognitive resilience over time. Doctors often recommend consistency as the single most important factor in brain health habits. A 20-minute brain game done twice a month is far less effective than a 2-minute morning routine done every single day. The brain responds to repetition. It responds to rhythm. And when you give it that rhythm, especially at the start of the day, it begins to build stronger, faster neural pathways. This is what neuroscientists mean when they talk about use it or lose it. You're using it, gently, intentionally, every morning. There is also something worth mentioning about the physical environment of this routine. Because you are doing this before sitting up, there's no risk of the dizziness that some older adults experience when rising too quickly, a condition called orthostatic hypotension. This routine actually gives your cardiovascular system time to gently adjust to wakefulness before you put weight on your feet. So beyond the brain benefits, there's a quiet safety benefit built right in. Now, if you want to extend the routine to a full 5 minutes on mornings when you have a little more time, doctors often recommend adding one gentle neck and shoulder movement, slow rolls, nothing forced, which increases blood flow to the brain through the vertebral arteries. But even without this, the core 2-minute version is complete on its own. The single most important thing to take away from everything we've talked about today is this: your brain is not finished growing or protecting itself just because you've passed 70. It is still listening to the signals you send it every morning. And 2 intentional minutes, 3 deep breaths, then a quiet moment of recall and gratitude is a signal worth sending. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever tried a morning routine for your brain? Or is this something new for you? Let me know in the comments below. What does your morning currently look like? Your experience might help someone else reading these comments too. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe. Every week, we share new evidence-based health tips made specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. 'Cause you deserve information that's honest, practical, and made with you in mind. We'll see you in the next one.